Hello, I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. If you were watching Stupid O'Clock, you saw us smiting trolls mightily, along with the help of several of our friends. And this is just one of those nights where I don't know if it's going to be fun. I don't know if it's going to be just active or if it's just going to be us talking whatever we come up with. But we're here, we're live, we're large and in charge. So without further ado, let me bring on Chris and Bill, and hopefully we get Carl and Donna and Willow in here as well. That would be just amazing fun.
Huh?
Yes,
Uh,
it would.
I'm not sure I've got everybody on my I've turned that off. Um, I was trying to. Oh wow, I'm back in sync. So evidently, it was a streaming problem with my ISP trying to connect to Stupid O'Clock. So that's just one of those things. Uh, Let me
Good
see
evening,
here.
Willow.
Yes, and okay. Let's see. Control C. Da, da, da. We are just
And yes,
completely.
Donna, you did beat everybody.
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah. Well, I have to wait on the end of the
Stupid.
outro for Stupid O'Clock
Yeah.
so that I don't overlap things,
Yes.
which is one of those things I try not to do. Out of whoa, don't know what that was, but
That was my phone that I forgot to turn the media volume down.
oh well. Um, these things they happen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I treated myself to an adult beverage tonight. So
Oh yes, well I treat myself to an adult beverage most nights, but we will try and persevere. Let's see. Uh, I'm multitasking. Oh no, we're not inviting Superman. He's such a dull not Cal, but Carl. Okay.
thank you, Donna. She shared and tagged Willow.
Oh, good. And let's see that. Let's see. Ooh, Carl's disappeared.
No, he coughed.
Well, there we go.
Carl was asking if Bill got me.
Oh, I didn't hit enter. That's what the problem was. There we go.
I
So
think I'm all right now. I hit my cough button earlier and I forgot to undo it, Carl.
yeah, well, these things they happen. All sorts of glitch. Do you see this little off center? I cannot get. I've trimmed my beard dozens of times, and I always have this off center point there, and it just really drives me up a tree. Oh, a goof trying to get here accidentally typed Dax instead of Dan. Yeah, that would bring you to an entirely different fandom, my dear.
Yeah.
It'd take you to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Will that would be Drax. Dax
Yeah.
is
Oh,
from
Drax, that's right.
Deep Space Nine. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm just as lovely.
Also, Dax Shepard, the
Oh well,
comedian.
that one I was not familiar with. Thank you.
Yeah,
I,
he's married to Kristen Bell, the cute blonde that you see in some of the commercials.
okay, yeah. There's a guy that is on my Facebook that posts very, very pretty actresses
Mm-hmm.
from time to time, and oh, here we have
Hi.
Willow.
Hello,
Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
And
I get a
glad you.
birthday present.
Yes, but I'll leave you two to negotiate that between yourselves.
Yeah.
I just meant her showing up.
Well, I'm sorry I'm not popping out of a cake, but I do have a cake.
There you go.
Even better.
That way he doesn't have to share his.
Instead of popping out of the cake, just pop the cake in your mouth.
Mm. Oh, yes,
how you doing,
and
Miss
thank
Peyton?
all of you for being here, and especially you, Willow, because this is the first time you've been with us here in Last Man Standing, and
Oh,
basically,
It
yes,
has, yeah.
yes, basically this is Stupid O'Clock, not light, but
I was just gonna say,
insane.
You guys know that I'm a loose cannon, right?
Oh, you'll fit right in.
Yeah.
Really.
Just don't get us started on movies or music. You might be here a while.
Oh Lord, you get me and Chris started on music and different movies, and we'll be here until
Wee hours of the morning.
the sacred cows come home. Basically,
The chickens are like, okay, y'all can go to bed. We'll take over.
yeah, really. Here's the eggs. Don't bother us. We're going to sleep. Oh Lord, yeah. Chris and I have whittled the night away lots of times talking about obscure music and, well, not so obscure, just the stuff that we like, even though
cool.
both of us like things in different directions. So
It's
really
fun though, and we like some of the stuff that crosses over. So that will make
yeah,
it
yeah.
really fun.
It's really cool. It's really cool,
Mhm.
and we've always got Bill here to set us straight on anything animated or from our childhood memories that we just can't dig out of the grooves in our gray matter,
And-
because he knows everything. So
And he's friends
Excellent.
with most of the people we're trying to think of anyway.
Yeah, if I could get them in here some night, but
hey, you get the Phantom in here, we're doing fine.
Yeah.
I believe we
Yeah.
already had Major Matt Mason a time or two.
yeah. Well, let's see. I'm friends with Jeff Wego, who draws the Phantom for the Sunday Phantoms.
Oh,
wow.
That
yeah.
would be wonderful to get him in here.
Oh, it'd be one. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anytime that you think he's going to be awake this time of night.
I don't know
Go
about
for it.
that, but well, he lives in Illinois here. I'm trying to think of where in Illinois he does live, but he's a boy from Illinois.
Hey, well, you know, nothing finer than to jump into some obscure jokes and conversation and just while the night away. I did say whittle the first time, but that was definitely that was an auditory typo. Yeah.
You were thinking about whittling the stick.
I'll accept that answer and give you 10
That,
points.
that
Yes.
That's the polite way of saying it, Dan.
Well, there's no better way for an old man sitting on his front porch in a rocking chair to spend time than to drink an adult beverage and have a piece of cedar wood in his hand and a pocket knife and be whittling something
Yep.
that probably was going to turn into a toothpick, no matter how big the cedar log happened to be. Oh, Lord. My wife has been out in the yard cutting down some of the trees that have unfortunately reached the end of their lifespan.
Oh.
I had several cedar trees and juniper trees that had sprung up wild in the coal pile, wood pile of my great aunt and uncle's house up in East Tennessee, up north of Knoxville. And I dug those things up as teeny tiny saplings and brought them back and planted them in the yard. And they have grown for 20 years, but they finally succumbed to old age.
Oh.
And yeah, I didn't know they would do that, but apparently in some cases they do. It might be that I planted them too close together. It might be that there's not enough direct sunlight. But in the case there was one in the front yard that we thought was just only ever going to be a teeny tiny thing. And it grew up to be about 40, 50 feet tall. I mean, Godzilla would be proud of this cedar tree, let me tell you.
Wow.
And it was just about to make it impossible to walk between the front porch and this tree.
Mm.
So she got out there while I was at work one day this week, and she took a handsaw and cut down like an 8-inch thick trunk
Oh,
and
wow.
Wow.
lifted about 4 feet above the ground. And we're going to go out there and level it off a bit. And she's going to put a bird feeder out there.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got bird baths all over the yard. I mean, we're out in the middle of nowhere, so we've got all kinds of birds. But she just loves setting up something for the cats to go, ooh, pray, thank you.
She did that
No.
with a handsaw?
She did. I mean,
Wow.
6
Hi,
to 8
She's a
inches.
tough woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, she's British. She doesn't know that she's not supposed to be able to do that. You know.
Well, I got a story to go with that, Dan. Tuesday, we went up to Chicago to Laura's 86-year-old dad's house that we go every couple of weeks to do yard work and things, and sometimes take him to his doctor's appointments. He had several evergreen trees that had died. He had a neighbor take all the limbs off and take the trunk down to about 8 or 10 foot on this one. So Laura and I are doing our usual yard work, mowing, weed eating, trimming hedges, all this stuff. And we see her 86-year-old dad kind of filtering through a bunch of stuff in a truck in his backyard. Then he comes walking up with a come along and a bunch of rope. And he says, "Hey, Bill, come over and help me with this." And so there's 2 trees that are going to come out. Then the first tree is the one that I mentioned. The second tree is a much taller, probably 20, 25 foot tree that also had all the limbs and everything took out. Just the trunk is all. And that's the much stronger tree. So we attached the come along to that one, then run the hook all the way out and attach another rope to it and wrap that around the other one, and then just start ratcheting it and, wrenching that closer and closer. And then you see this other one start going like this and this and this. And we thought it's going to snap off any minute. No, it didn't snap off, but it yanked it all out of the ground, roots and all. I mean, it had a major root system, and it's one that was planted too close to his house.
Yep.
And when you buy new trees, speaking as a master gardener, you always want to look at your labels, because it'll not only tell you how tall the tree will get in its maturity, it'll tell you a diameter circumference, which means how spread out that is going to get, which also is a good clue on how spread out the root system is going to get underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So
for most trees,
right,
what you see above ground is what's underground, but shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
spreads out just as much, but it's not quite as deep as the above ground part. Now, see, my problem was that these were volunteer evergreens, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them could have a root ball that's no bigger than a 5-gallon bucket, and some of them spread out quite a ways. And the one that she took down was one that I didn't expect to spread out that much, but it did. And now I have seen cedar trees growing up in the chipping pile of a limestone gravel quarry, and there's there's no dirt within 150 feet of where this tree sprouted. It grew up in a gravel pile, so that that's a tough tree. Now these that I got were in the ground next to um, what was, while my great aunt and my great uncle were still alive, it was their wood pile and coal pile, and it's just out there. It well, yeah, I know you've driven by an old farm place somewhere where there are cedar trees growing up in the fence line, and where uh, birds have eaten the 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 berries, for want of a better term, and set on the fence line. And while after they had finished digesting what they could digest and rid themselves of the remainder, and the trees come up right there, and they're most of the time they are these just absolutely beautiful trees. I mean, they're survivors already. They've already survived something's digestive system, so they're going to grow,
Yeah.
and they just kind of climb up, and hopefully your fence line is not directly under a power line, so that the electric company doesn't come by and start sawing them off. But there's a guy up the road that has a beautiful. I don't even know what they were. They weren't evergreens. They were deciduous. Uh, uh, they were some beautiful trees that were supposed to mark the hedgerow, but they turned out to be directly underneath the power line, and they were some of these that just grow really
Oh.
quick. So the electric company came in and cut them off about 6 feet tall. And these things were about 12 to 15 feet wide at that point where they got cut off. So they're going to come back as a hedgerow, but and hopefully spread out more to the side than they do up. But hey, if the dirt's that good, they're going to go up and have to be cut again. Uh, the joys of being a farm boy.
I feel your pain and I feel Carl's pain. We have elm trees in our neighborhood, and we had an issue about 10 years, but I'm gonna say about a little less than 10 years back, where our sewer started to back up on us. And yeah, cleaning that up was not fun.
No.
It's amazing what kind of plants will pierce a quarter-inch thick PVC pipe and grow roots inside there where the superior nutrients happen to be flowing. Lord have mercy. There are places in the backyard that basically it's where the drain lines for the septic tank are. And let me tell you that Irma Bombeck was right. The grass is always greener over the septic tank. It's just some of that stuff just. I mean, you can't leave it a week between mowing, because it's got these super vitamins going through it, and I've got to admit that every time I have a taco stand burrito, I go out in the backyard and look and go, y'all slow down just a little, okay? Because I just ate that, and believe me, when that particular nutriment hits the drainage field, the things you can watch things grow like kudzu, and I've got kudzu down here, so I know what I'm talking about. 3 feet an hour. Woof! Yeah. When I first bought the house, the backyard was about half the size it is now, and the side yards were about a quarter of the size they are now. And my best friend from work and I were out there for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, with a sling blade and a shovel, just chopping things back so that we could get back to where the yard was supposed to be. We found a 20-foot cedar tree that had been eaten by kudzu, and now the thing's doing really well. I'm going to have to trim the lower branches so I can get under it with the riding mower. But that thing is just absolutely gorgeous. And there's ivy coming up. I think it is the English ivy. We don't want that next to the house, but I don't mind it climbing trees. And we've also got what is it? It's the stuff that the hummingbirds really love. Trumpet vine.
Trumpet flowers, yeah.
Yeah, trumpet vine. Now that stuff, I hate that worse than I do kudzu. It doesn't grow as fast, but it's harder to kill. I mean, it is really. If you get that next to the house, it's gonna go all the way up across your roof and start eating through the shingles.
Sorry, I will be right back. I'm just gonna go deal with my cat for a moment because he's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass.
That's fine.
I know how cats are. Please take however long you need.
They can also be adorable.
Oh yes, they are. They are always adorable, even when they're being a pain in the ass. You're an adorable pain in the ass is something that I usually say to the cats.
Oh yeah. I usually say something along the facts, I love you, but you're killing me.
Now we did manage to reclaim 1.2 acres from kudzu.
Congratulations.
And it was about shall we say less than a quarter of an acre when we got started. So basically, the only thing that kudzu finds as a natural enemy is a lawnmower, a turkey, or a goat.
Yeah, I started to say, aren't goats effective in fighting kudzu?
Yep, but they got to keep eating no matter what time of year it is.
Hey, Dan, do me a favor. The comment that I just put in the comments that says I'm smiling, pop that up on the screen real quick. I'm playing a trick on Laura.
Well, there we go.
There you go. Okay, hang on a second. I hope this is going to get her. Okay.
That's not a
smile.
That's a smirk.
She always tells me, she goes, are there very many people in the show tonight? And I usually pop a quick screenshot to show her because she's listing some of our Hot Wheels stuff. And anyway, so she's not able to watch the show because she's using her computer to list the Hot Wheels. So I pop it on there. So I did one just a minute ago, and she says, I see you're being stone-faced again.
You have a fan club there, Bill.
Oh, yes.
And thank goodness they don't have a real club. Those things hurt, let me tell you.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. Of course, after a while, you get to like it.
How you doing, Ace?
I'll take your word for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, I saw something today where somebody's trying to market a passenger hovercraft for highway use, and thank goodness everybody's going, wait a minute, this can't. It doesn't have brakes. How are you going to drive it on a road? You know, sad to say, recently deceased, one of my favorite sci-fi writers, L. Neil Smith, did figure out how to do hovercrafts with brakes. Basically, you have tires on them, and when you hit the brakes, it changes the angle of the lifting fans so that it reduces the amount of air under the skirt. The tires drop down on the road, and you can use brakes. And he did a lot of things. Another concept he came up with was something about the size of a wristwatch that would read sign language, hand movements, muscle movements of your hand when you're trying to do American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and whatever. And it would translate those into a spoken voice for people and creatures that did not have the proper vocal cords to be able to speak out loud. That was just pure genius right there. That would help all kinds of people who no longer possess the ability to speak, but do know some type of sign language.
Yeah.
And this thing would eventually it would learn enough. There was a really, really smart computer in there that would learn enough of the muscle movements of someone's hand when they were doing the signs to be able to translate that into an actual voice. And we're getting to the point now where computers should be powerful enough and small enough to be able to do that kind of thing. Maybe not right now, but it shouldn't be that many more years before we're able to do more than that. Only when you're up to something. Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing with Bill. He's always up to something.
Yeah, I showed it to Laura, and she says, "Oh, that's better." And I said, "No, you got to keep looking at the little text that Dan popped up right under his picture." And then I got her laughing. And then I had to look in the text and saw what Ace, Bonnie, and Donna said about my smiling. So I took a screenshot of that and sent it to her. Now she's really laughing, but she's got to go to bed. So
yeah, well, that's the thing about us. We're not really good. We're not really conducive to going to bed.
yeah, she's got to work in the morning, and I don't. But other than working on the eBay.
This is a reason why I cannot do this show on the weekends when I have to work
Mm-hmm.
the next day.
Any more news on that, Dan?
My supervisor, my original supervisor, told me that it was not legal under the contract for them to continue it past New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Now, I'm training one guy right now. He's had 2 weeks of training. He's supposed to get 4 weeks of training, but it's going to take well, because it's alternating day shift, night shift with the equal number of days off. It's going to take 8 weeks to get him fully trained to where he will be able to be fully qualified by the company rules for the job. And then we've got another person in the same job that has not that position has not been filled yet with a trainee. So I might have to do another 8 weeks.
Oh boy, I hope not.
Well, the thing I hate about it is the two girls that are on the opposite shift from what I'm doing right now. They're having to do 2 days each of overtime in order to make up for that missing person. So I'm guessing.
Sounds like you're having the same issue I am at work. Lack of management.
Really. There's not enough people to do all the work that needs to be done, and I have to wait for them to bid the job, and that has to run for 8 days so that everybody in the plant has a chance to see it and go, yeah, I'd like to try this, or no, I don't want anything to do with it. And then they have to make up their mind who has the most seniority, which determines who gets the job. And then whoever has the most seniority that gets the job has to come in for training and try it and see whether or not they want to put up with it. It's one of those things where quality control is not the hardest job in the plant, but it is one of the busiest. You cannot stop. You cannot stop unless everything is absolutely perfect all day long. There's always going to be some situation where you have to do the same thing you just did because they had to change something in order to get it right.
Yeah, how many times has it been perfect all day long, Dan? Can you count on one hand?
I've been there for 44 years. Yeah, Bill, that would be just a little bit more than I got fingers for, but yeah, it does it does happen. Yeah, it's not an everyday thing, but
Yeah.
once a week maybe, where everything is right all day long. But we've had so many people retire, and so many of the people that have less seniority move up into those positions and having to learn those very, very difficult jobs because it requires a lot of study of the methods to do all this stuff and decide that if I make this tweak this way, things are really bad. If I make this tweak the other way, things get really good until I go too far.
Wow.
I love Carl's question. Is Canada having a labor shortage too? I think that problem is everywhere, especially
probably worldwide. Yeah.
I know that when it comes to our stuff that I work for Starbucks, the stuff that we get from the States, like any of our food products or drink products. I've noticed that when we are out of something and we can't get it shipped to us, that the labor shortage down in the States is affecting us here in Canada as well, because we're having product shortages.
Yeah. And apparently some of that, although not all of it, is because stuff is piling up on the unloading docks on the East Coast and the West Coast, and it's not being unloaded, whether that's a labor shortage there or if that's a strike or whatever.
Last week, a friend of mine posted there were 88 ships waiting to be unloaded at the Port of Long Beach, which is greater Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
Said it would take approximately 704 days to unload those 88 ships, where normally it'd take a few weeks because everyone and everything's having to be tested for COVID, among the other stuff that's going on. And there were over 70 ships waiting outside of New York Harbor, waiting to be offloaded.
Same situation, yeah. That's why there's nothing on the store shelves.
That's why you have a problem with the supply chain when you're waiting on just-in-time delivery and the stuff is overseas and shipped over here.
And it's sitting on a boat in the harbor, waiting to dock, waiting to be unloaded because something else is sitting at the dock waiting to be unloaded. And the truckers that normally would carry that, some of them are sick and some of them are looking for other jobs. But
and not only that, you have a number of them that are retirement age. They've been driving all their life and they're tired of it.
Yeah, that's the thing that's getting the place where I work is half the people that have been there and have been in these vital jobs that everything depends on, they're retiring. And you're having to get high school age kids and just barely a little bit older, and by which I mean, up to in their mid 30s or thereabouts. They're having to learn all this stuff that the other folks knew instinctively, and they've been doing it for half a century, But now you've got to train the younger folks to come in, and the company wants everybody to pay attention to their engineers who have only been on the job for 5, maybe 10 years and don't know all the ins and outs of all the jobs. And that's being run by the accountants who want everything to be done as cheaply as possible,
Yep.
even though that doesn't work.
Well, see,
ever.
that's just it. Like, how often are the labor shortages to blame for? It's not the lack of workers. Believe me, it's not the lack of workers. It's management is being told by the higher ups, oh, you have to cut labor.
Yeah, you got to
but
have
why are we
3
seeing
people
signs
who work
though?
with 10 people.
We're Laura was just telling me today when she got off work yesterday that there's another establishment right next door to them that has, hiring signs out by the road, which of course everybody does. You can't drive a
Starbucks
block.
is always hiring.
Yeah, and with this particular one, and I can't remember which establishment she said it was. I know several that are around her place of business, but she said it said in the now hiring sign by the road, $1,000 sign-on bonus.
Yeah.
That they're offering to anybody who will
Which
come to
pretty
work
much
for them.
means that they're going to be paying you less than minimum wage.
Well, and it's not only that; it's some of them are doing you that, or paying you that, but you have to be there so long to collect all of it. There
Yeah,
was one person that
This is
jumped
true
from
as
one
well.
job to another job thinking he was going to get the bonus. When he quit early, he didn't qualify for the bonus because he didn't stay there long enough.
And there probably are those kind of circumstances for that, but here in Illinois, minimum wage is going up left and right, and within the next 2 years, it's supposed to be up to $15 an hour.
Well,
Now, that's hurting a lot of the businesses because of being forced to pay that, especially a lot of the mom and pop businesses, which that's driving them out of business. And then what about the people that are working there that spent 3 or 4 years to get up to $15, $16 an hour, and then all of a sudden Joe Blow walks in off the street and then he gets it right away from day one?
It's a source of constant frustration for.
It is.
Yes, it is. The people.
It is.
The people that have been there at that pay when minimum wage gets minimum rage was that day.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
We're
when
already
minimum
there.
wage gets raised, the people that were making what was equal to minimum wage, but under the same job conditions that these new folks are coming in and they get it automatically. Those folks should be getting a cost of living increase and promotion.
Minimum wage. Minimum wage has been going up for quite a while now.
I know.
Yeah.
The problem is, even though these pay scales are going up, the cost of things are going up with them because
the cost of things are going up faster.
Yeah, because the people that are rich don't want to have to lose their profits, so they're raising everything up so they keep making the same amount or more than.
Yeah, but how much do they damn well need?
Yeah.
Well, and I've said it for years.
Once you're insanely wealthy, how much more do you need?
There is such a thing as insatiable greed, and there's a lot of people that have that.
I know.
Look at Dollar Tree's big announcement about them raising prices on all of their items that they sell now. They're not going to be able to call it Dollar Tree anymore.
I was just going to say, can we even call them dollar stores anymore? I used to work at a dollar store. It wasn't $1.
Hell, we don't have $5 dimes anymore.
None of that stuff was $1.
Yeah, really. You see, there aren't any 5 and dime stores anymore.
Right? Yeah. Now it's $20 and $30 stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ace said something here a little while back. I didn't want him to think he was being neglected. So, is anyone excited for Glenn's Jack Kirby project that launches on Tuesday
Yes.
this week?
Yep.
Yes,
I
yes,
definitely will
Absolutely.
buy.
I wish Glenn all the best, and I hope it's a huge success. And
Yep.
I actually want to see the movie and read the book.
Mhm.
It's not going to be something I can do right away because no matter what I make per hour,
Mhm.
I've got bills to pay just like everybody else.
Yeah, everybody's got their own financial commitments they got to
Yeah.
honor
Mhm.
before.
And
Yep.
people, Dan hasn't paid me yet. I don't know when I'm going to get paid.
Well,
You
Bill,
didn't
you
sign the
probably
contract.
you
Well, yeah.
there's some things you're just SOL.
That's most everything, Chris.
Mhm. Willow got the reference. You did too.
You know, as to my own situation, I'm just 2 years and a couple of months away from retirement, and I'm trying to write it out. About the middle of this month, I started my 44th year at the factory.
Oh
Now
wow.
that is one of those things that uh, there are a lot of people nowadays
Yeah.
in the job market that go 44 years in one job. Well, 44 years with one employer. I've
Yeah.
held several jobs with that employer, but never gone anywhere else. I've only ever had 2 jobs in my life,
Oh wow.
and one of them was part time, so I could work my way through college. And then when I finally ran out of money for college and had to drop out, I went to the factory and started making. Okay, here we go. $4.30 an hour
Yeah.
was minimum wage. I started there at is either $3.75 or $4
Mm-hmm.
until I qualified to be there full time. Because at that time, if the work was hard enough to where if you were willing to stick around long enough to get qualified to have the job, they'd be willing to pay you, and there would be almost unlimited overtime. And 44 years later, oh, should I say the dollar amount?
Mm-hmm.
Should I? I mean, that's gonna piss a lot of people off. I don't know. Let's say I'm making substantially more after almost half a century
Yeah.
doing this work.
As you should.
But that's
Well,
But
I am now highly skilled labor rather than
Mhm.
unskilled labor, which is
Yeah.
what I was when I started off. Because
Well, that's the thing.
I've learned a lot of computer tricks, and I've done things for the company that they never thought to do for themselves, and
Well,
didn't
that's one of
charge them any fees for project development or anything like that because I wasn't in a position to do that.
Did you see Carl's comment? He'd never heard of Jack Kirby before the book.
Carl, you might not have heard of Jack Kirby, but if you read any comic books that happened since the 50s,
You've seen
you've
plenty.
probably seen
Yeah.
Jack Kirby's work because he did
Oh.
a lot of it.
Speaking of Jack Kirby, one of my talented artist friends did a couple Jack Kirby illustrations. Jim Ingle is his name, and this is a
wow.
T-shirt.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice.
That's currently available on Redbubble. You can get it for under $20. He did another one, and I'm trying to find it. It is hilarious. Reference for Jack Kirby. Okay, everybody knows Hello Kitty. He did a Jack Kirby version of Hello Kitty.
Hello Kirby.
It was called Hello Kirby.
oh my god.
I'm going to find it here eventually. Because I'm on his page now. He does some wonderful artwork.
This is why nobody ever invites me to do quiz shows, because I can come up with the answers.
But going back to what we were talking about workers,
Yeah.
the time where somebody started out with one company and stayed with them till retirement's more or less over. That rarely.
Yeah, that
happens
kind of ended
anymore.
about
20 years.
1985 or thereabouts.
Yeah, at least 20 years ago.
Yeah.
My grandfather worked for the same company, and granted, there were a couple others that bought it out, but they acquired his years of service with him. When he retired, it was 54 years with the same company.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When I retire, it will be 40. I think I'll have 46 years of seniority.
Yeah. He started packing parachutes in World War II.
Oh, that's cute.
With the cigar and everything.
Oh, Lord, yeah. Yeah, Chris,
hello, Kirby.
That's just amazing. Yeah, the days when somebody gets hired as a teenager and stays there till retirement age, they're at least 20 years gone. Most of the people that I interact with in the management of the company I'm with, they're just astounded that there are people that have 30, 40, 45, 50 years of seniority. They're going, I can't comprehend that. And I'm going, yeah, that's because you're only making a deal to stay there for 3 to 5 years unless you get a raise or a promotion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll go to another company because your management, basically being management is, I hate to say, interchangeable, but in some cases, it is. The things that you do in one company, you can do just as easily for another company. So you can shop yourself around and hopefully better your situation.
Well, they teach them the same BS regardless.
Yeah.
Granted, there's some things that they learn that are valuable and useful.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of this stuff that, if you have any common sense or any education whatsoever, and you actually listened and paid attention in classes, you already know.
Oh, you already know that. You already know that what they're telling you is complete BS.
Well, yeah, because there's stuff that I learned in the 6th grade that these people don't understand because they've listened to some highly paid motivational speaker blow a bunch of smoke up their butts that doesn't have to do anything to prove what they say other than make you feel good. Yes, you can do that. All you got to do is believe it and you can make it happen. They're not faced with realities of, inventory, production, stuff that can go wrong and all this stuff. And they're kicking back. They're making all upper management feel good because they spread all this BS. They're getting paid a $1 paycheck and they're not having to prove anything.
I call it the Captain Picard theory of management. You decide what you want and you tell everybody else to make it so.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically possible or not. And with Captain Picard had the luxury of having people to go, well, I can figure out how to do that, but
they also had
modern day company management
technology
does not have the luxury of people being able to figure out how to make the impossible happen.
How often I get mad at management in my company when it comes to people with the lack of common sense. Like it's definitely not there, and it's like I'll come up with something. I'll be like, "Hey, why don't we do this?" And they'll be staring at me like blankly. I'm like, "How long have you been working for this company?" 3
to 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, common sense is nowadays a superpower.
Yeah.
If you got it, flaunt it. Because there's not many people around you, and especially above you, that are going to possess that particular ability to think in
I'll be right
terms of
back.
this has to happen before that can happen,
Yeah.
and this has to happen before that can even begin to happen.
Well, another thing is management, especially when it comes to their trainees, does not want to hear the words no, or it can't be done, or it shouldn't be done, or if you do this, this is going to happen, which is something you don't want to happen.
I run into that all the time. It's like they come up with this, oh, we're going to try this brand new thing we just thought of. And I go, that didn't work the last 16 times we tried it over the last 50 years. Now, here's what does work. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Because you didn't attend the motivational meetings that speaker told them that all they had to do was believe and make it happen, and it was going to happen. Dang it, Dan, if you'd just listened to that speaker, it'd have been fine.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I listen to people that actually know their elbow from a hole in the ground.
I know that. You know that, but I'm telling you.
Yes, that was censored, people.
You know, I have to laugh because Chris is so bang on when it comes to like the whole motivational speaker thing. You have no idea how often I watch these ton videos for work, and it's like, you can do it. All you have to do is just do this, and it's like, you have no idea what it's like to work at a Starbucks, for one. You were hired just to tell me that I can.
I hear all the stupid lame ass requests that they want. I want it just this, then like. You are the epitome of a spoiled idiot.
The only approvable answer, which is not approvable by them, but polite enough to get by, is you cannot change the laws of physics, Captain.
Yep. But it's like, all they would, in order to make our company better, you'd think that they would listen to those of us who actually work ground floor.
No, because you actually worked from the ground up, and they automatically went into management, which means they're automatically smarter than you, and they have to prove it day to day, even though deep down, whether they want to admit it or not, they're not.
They might have a better education than I do, but they don't have a higher IQ.
You can have an education and still be an idiot.
Yeah, I know.
When I worked for EB Games, I got into an argument with the not the owner, but the guy who
the general manager of that site.
And he comes up to me and goes, "You're not wearing dress shoes." I'm like, one, we work in a video game store. Two, I have to wear runners because they're more comfortable on these stupid floors than dress shoes are. And three, nobody sees my feet. I'm behind a counter all day.
Just tell them you're wearing the OSHA approved safety shoes. Then make them look it up.
And he wanted me to dress up nicely too at work. And it's like, you should be wearing dress pants. And I'm like, again, I work for a video game store. We're lucky if our clients even wear clothes half the time.
They're more interested in the video games.
You get Walmart customers in there, don't you? Oh, Lord.
Don't think about stuff.
They don't think, period.
Well, of course, they're not programmed to think. They're programmed to do what upper management tells them to do and make it happen regardless.
They have expectations.
And you're not helping, Willow.
They have expectations that are presented to them from people that can make or break their career, and they pass it on down to people that are actually doing the work, and the people that are actually doing the work go, "You weren't hired for your brains, were you?"
I was doing the job of the assistant manager.
Without
I
the
was
pay,
doing
I assume.
I was doing the job of both the manager and the assistant manager. You know,
When you're having to cover up incompetence just so things can function at a minimal level to make things relatively well.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes you don't have any choice in the matter.
Yep. And that's the nice thing about working in a place that's unionized. You can choose to do exactly what you were told, no matter how stupid the thing was that you were told. And you will be rid of that manager in short order because there's nothing they can blame it on, because we did exactly what we were told to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
But that's how companies nowadays are run. Like they don't want to have someone who knows the job and does the job well. They want the lazy people to run
They
the
want
companies.
people dumb enough to blindly follow them into the cave or off the cliff or wherever the hell it is they want to go.
Yep, they want lemmings. They don't want productive people.
That's what I was about to say. Lemmings.
Yes, men and yes, woman.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know, oh, whatever you say. Sorry, it didn't work.
Go happily flying in the wall and after, are you okay? Yeah, I need you to go do that. Yes, sir. And trips and falls and hits her head again. Like, boy, I love their initiative.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday I witnessed a very dangerous version of that. I went to a local retail outlet to get a picture frame, and I won't mention the local big box retail outlet's name, other than they're the largest one in the country. And I'm walking in with my mask on because in the state of Illinois, there is a mask mandate. And I'm walking around to get my stuff. I'm looking at the employees as I'm walking by. Most of them, if they were wearing a mask at all, it was below their nose or down below their chin or hanging off of one ear. And like I say, some of them didn't have any at all. So I went and I got my picture frame, paid for it, walked up to customer service. I'd like to talk to a manager. And they said, okay. And manager, she comes up and I'm looking at my phone and she says, is there something I can help you with? I'm the manager. I turn around and I look at her. She has no mask on at all. She has two other employees that have followed her up there that are wearing their masks properly, but she is without. Now, she wasn't the store manager, but she was what you would call an MOD, like a manager on duty. And so I said, I came in the store and I noticed some of your employees not wearing masks. Did you remove the mask mandate for your employees? Because if so, there's still a state one. And she says, no, the Walmart, oh, I guess I said it. She said, no, the employees still have to wear masks. And I said, well, the ones that even have masks at all are not wearing them properly, including yourself. And I didn't ask her why she wasn't wearing a mask or why the others weren't following the protocol. But I told her, I said, look, I said, I've got both my Pfizer shots over 6 months ago. I'm going to get my Pfizer booster when I become eligible for it. And I even had my flu shot for the year. So I'm not worried about myself when I come into your store and see all these people not properly wearing their mask or not having them on. I said, it's bad enough that there are a lot of people that aren't wearing them. And I was expecting her to say something like, well, they don't work anyway or whatever, to which I would have replied, well, the masks aren't to keep you from catching COVID or the Delta variant or whatever. It's in case you have it, if you're a carrier, to keep it from giving it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm not worried about me getting sick, but I'm worried about my best friend Laura's 86-year-old dad getting sick and possibly dying, or my 72-year-old cousin, or the other elderly people that I interact with on a daily basis that live in the apartments around me. And I said, those are the ones that I worry about. So, and I told her, I said, I hope that maybe you start following Walmart's protocol on this and follow the state guidelines on it too. Turned around, I walked away. I went home that night. I'm just flustered. And I'm texting Laura all my frustrations. These dang people are just doing this and they're doing this and they're doing, and she's like, well, what are you going to do about it besides complain to me? And I'm like, I'm calling the corporate office tomorrow and I'm going to lodge a complaint. And she says, well, that's good. She said, one other place to call. And I said, what's that? Vermilion County Health Department. Oh, yeah. So I called them first on Monday morning, filed a complaint with them, to which they said that they would send an inspector out. And if they found reason to pull these people aside and instruct them on the proper way of wearing a mask and following the state guidelines, they would be doing that. And if they ran into it again, they could actually shut the store down entirely. And that would be a big blow for this area. Afterwards, I called the corporate office and filed a complaint with them. Told them that I had just previously called the county health department, which I think probably might have made them set up and take notice a little bit more than just the usual gripe, because they gave me a reference number and told me well, they don't call them store managers there. I think they call them area managers for that chain. And gave me a bunch of information. And I said, good. And I said, and if that area manager wishes to speak to me, give them my phone number and I will happily speak to them anytime at all. So a couple days later, yesterday, I went back into that establishment, actually saw the manager that was working there without the mask. A couple days previous, she was wearing a mask, and everywhere that I went around the store getting my shopping done and I saw an employee, they were not only wearing a mask but were properly wearing it. So I don't know if she tipped them off and put it on for right now or whatever, and I don't know when the health department was going to send an inspector out. They may do it a couple of weeks from now.
Or they may have already done it.
Right. And that's the reason why. But like 2 days later, I'm not sure that I would have suspected it. But I did call them on a Monday morning. And on Wednesday, this is what I noticed. And like I told Laura, I said, I'll be checking back with it again. And if I find something blatantly as that. Now, if if it comes down below their nose a little bit or whatever, I mean, I'm not going to be, picking on each individual, because even when I wear my mask, like tomorrow night when we go to the auction, we usually take some snacks with us to eat. Me and Laura and her dad's wearing our mask. We pull down our mask and pop in whatever cracker or whatever we're eating, pull it back up, and while you're making the movements with your mask can slip down. But the ones that, if I see a number of them that are not wearing them again, and especially a manager of all people, I will do a follow-up call to the health department, to the corporate office.
Yeah,
And,
sometimes the word has to come down from on high, and then the word only comes down from on high when somebody like the health department with more power comes in and says, "Naughty, naughty, naughty! You have to obey the rules. This is the rules."
Well, have you guys? Sorry, Chris. Have you guys heard of businesses getting fined for not following health code in your area?
Yep, I sure have. Sure have. It's very rare that a business will not comply with health department rulings. Sometimes the health department has to message corporate and say, "Look, your folks are either going to have to do this, or we're going to shut you down."
I've been hearing more
that's
of
the
schools.
bottom line right there. Yeah, schools. Yep. Georgia schools should never have gone back to in-person classes this early. They should have just gone, okay, we're going to keep doing virtual until everybody's vaccinated, or everybody that is going to be vaccinated has been vaccinated. And then people who are from families that refuse to vaccinate are not going to be allowed to send their children to school. Now that sounds a bit draconian, but
I'm okay with that.
Hey, you got to remember, in the 60s, when I was in elementary school, I was vaccinated against every damn thing that ever existed from the beginning of time on up, and it only took 5 minutes, and it didn't hurt. And I've never come down with smallpox, or any of the other things.
You guys lived through polio.
Yeah, polio too. That was one of the vaccines that I had. Yeah,
my uncle actually survived polio. He's one of the oldest living people that survived. He has one leg that's smaller than the other.
One of my high school science teachers was a polio survivor. He was on crutches in his entire adult life. He was the team medic for the football team 20 years before I ever got there, because he survived the polio back then. He got the vaccine in time.
Now, I got to correct you on one thing, Dan. You were talking about the shots not hurting. I think the shot that they gave with the gun, the little black gun, that thing hurt like a mofo. I mean, it hurt. I remember that one hurting real bad.
Didn't hurt me.
It also depends on the person administering the shot. Because there are some people that have a knack for
that super
injecting people with needles that doesn't seem to bother anybody. That they have the magic touch, and there's some that can't poke somebody with a needle to save their lives.
Yep.
Yeah, the one with the shots with the regular needles, I had no problem with, but that one that they did with the gun and it just went kaboom like that. I don't know which one that was off the top of my head, and I bet Carl might remember that one too.
Well, that was one of the multi vaccines. It had a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
I got that. And matter of fact, there was this kid in front of me in the line who was just in absolute hysterics. And I told the nurses, "Hey, let me go first and show him it don't hurt." Okay. And they did. And it was like, it's like getting a shot from Dr. McCoy. You heard the hiss, but you never felt anything.
Yeah.
And I looked the kid straight in the eye and I go, "It doesn't hurt. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just It's just sitting in the chair and wait until they tell you to get up. It's painless.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked because he went in absolutely scared to death and got out of it with a grin on his face because he didn't feel it either. And maybe it was just the medical personnel that were working at that school in East Tennessee at the time. But you know, I was doing my community duty there, trying to calm this kid down because he was just absolutely losing his shit right then. And is not that he was anything. It's not that he was anyone less. It's just that the idea of it terrified him, and he was not one of those people who, like myself, had been raised to undergo whatever you had to undergo to get the job done. So you know, there's a big difference between farm kids and city kids.
Oh my God, yes. Although it. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, Will.
Currently, right now, the majority of people who are unvaccinated are all country people. There is one small town in Manitoba where I am living that the majority of people refuse to get vaccinated in this small town, and they're it's just like they're saying that they're feeling the push. They're mad at the fact that the Manitoba health minister keeps pushing them to get vaccinated. Well, you guys are the reasons why our numbers are so freaking high.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I would have fallen into the category of the farm kids, the rural kids that didn't see any problem with getting vaccinated because we've seen the cattle get vaccinated, you know. It didn't kill the cow. It ain't going to kill me.
Well, yeah, exactly. You'd think that the farm kids would be smart, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. It just seems like we did a 180. At one point, you know, farm people were a lot smarter than city kids. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the way it is down here in the South. We get raised with a whole lot of more awareness of reality as it is, rather than fuzzy logic and wishful thinking.
I think what a large majority of it has to deal with is the rural kids back from, you know, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and maybe 80s, if you will, were a lot more trusting of government. There's a lot more distrust of government among people in rural areas now. Yeah. Some of it's justified, some of it isn't, but it is what it is.
I would say most of it isn't. I wouldn't trust any government as far as I could throw them underwater against a stiff current.
You don't need to trust them blindly on everything, but you know, there's some
trust them blindly on anything. But common sense tells you, if this is going to keep me alive and keep me from getting sick, maybe I should put up with it just this once.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised at what.
I'd be the first to admit that I am atypical as far as redneck farm boys go, but you know, a lot of it has to do with, I hate to say it, but the political affiliation of one's parents and how the child was raised indirectly, maybe not on purpose. The things that they absorbed by listening to their parents and learning from their parents.
You got to keep in mind there is a certain political bent that no longer exist anymore that was dominant back in the day in the rural South. The conservative Democrat. They don't exist anymore.
You looking at one.
Well, but I'm talking about as a
I'm a
power.
dinosaur. I admit. I still have feathers.
I know. Well, I I still remember,
Yeah,
back in the time where it was the solid South, and then you slowly had the gradual changeover.
and I think the major difference with me was that I never could believe in racism.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make any damn sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. But the problem is you have racism on both sides.
Well, yeah, you do. You have
It's
all kinds of isms
Mhm.
going in all kinds of different directions,
the
and none of them
stereotypes
make
are
any damn sense.
the stereotypes are funny, and they're made to be funny because I grew up with comedians that poke fun at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that post that I shared. I think it was in Carl's secret humor group
I mean,
about my people never did get offended so easily as what people are now, and because of who we laughed at. And it showed pictures of George Jefferson and Archie Bunker and Richard Pryor and George Carlin, and then a picture from, of course, Blazing Saddles. And yeah, the politically correct is slowly but surely doing away with all that. And I watched an episode of the Jeffersons the other night on Me TV, I think of all, or no, it was on Antenna TV. But anyway, both owned by the same company. But and the N word was used in the Jeffersons. One of them calling the other one the N word. And
well, they said hockey all the time too.
Well, at the time period was supposed to be groundbreaking shock value.
Well, look at John Lennon. John Lennon used it in the title of that one song of his, and he got jumped on for being called a racist because of the title "Woman is the N-word of the world," and he wasn't talking about that in the sense that the others were. He was actually talking about the way women were being treated back then in the 60s and early 70s. Absolutely, he was right.
Women
that they might as well been one. Yeah.
And women who were not white were even lower than second class citizens, and men who weren't white were lower than second class citizens.
And the problem
I'm trying to remember the name of a comedian from the 60s that put it all into perspective back in the day, and I cannot dredge his name up for love nor money.
Lenny Bruce.
Thank you, Bill. Exactly the man.
Great minds.
Yes.
Or demented minds think alike.
Yeah, Lenny Bruce said it best.
Lenny Bruce.
In one of his routines, he was going, I want to use that word over and over and over and over again until it has no meaning whatsoever.
The problem that you have is you have a tendency of folks to go overboard one way or the other. You want people to be sensitive, but you want them to be able to joke about themselves and joke about things. And the problem is they have made it such sensitive material that you can't. Good night, Donna. And I was going to bring up her comment about somebody said that she was just a secretary when she was another position, and she.
Yeah, but we.
I know we've crossed that point.
Yeah, we've
that
run ahead of things quite a bit. Yeah, but go ahead.
But you can be sensitive, and you can be considerate of others without going too far, because some people feel the need to go so far overboard to show that they're not that way,
which proves that they really are that way,
or that they're trying too hard, and there's really no point in them trying too hard, because if people interact with you enough, they're going to figure out, okay, that person's not racist. They're not bent towards looking down upon this person, be them from a different ethnic group or background or area that they grew up with. Because, I'm from the South. I can poke fun at dumb rednecks.
I are one.
Yeah, I'll poke fun at myself. I'm not afraid to, but
There was an episode of Oh, go ahead.
I understand the stereotypes and all that, but I get offended when they don't consider that we know anything. The typical, I'm from the Midwest or Northeast, and you're from the South, and you're automatically dum-dum because you're from the South.
Yeah, well, that boat don't float. That dog don't hunt.
No, it doesn't.
I find that a lot of people from the South are a lot smarter than the people up here.
It just depends.
It really does. It really does. It just depends on what particular area and what experiences one individual may have had.
Yeah.
Is contrasted with another individual that had a slightly different background but grew up right next to them.
And it also depends on the education and the other experiences that they've been exposed to.
A lot of racism is dependent on the family you were raised in.
Yeah.
Now, if you were raised in a family that didn't believe in that, then you came out of it being able to make friends and influence people much more easily and on a much more even playing ground. But if you were raised in a family that believed that there was an inequality between races, and it was a natural state of affairs, and it was a God-given right, then you're going to have a real problem facing the actual for real world.
And I've actually run into some instances where their family might have been racist, but they came to understand that just because they became friends with people or friends with people that were friends with people that were different backgrounds, that they realized that wasn't the case.
Yep, there is always the lucky happenstance where somebody was born with enough brains to be able to figure out that what their family taught them was not right.
Yeah.
And go on and establish their own families with that understanding that, listen, grandma may talk that way, and look, she's wrong, and we don't say nothing because we don't want no trouble. But you're right. This is exactly the way the world is supposed to be. Yeah. Everybody's supposed to be just equal in opportunity and equal in resources and equal in mind and body and soul. But there's always these people that are going to believe this stuff that makes no damn sense whatsoever, because that's the way they were brought up and they bought into it. And no matter how wrong it is, you can't make them change their mind. And it's a waste of time to try and get them to straighten up and fly right. But you beat your head against a wall sometimes.
Yeah.
With the people that they're prejudiced and they refuse to face the fact they're prejudiced.
Yeah.
They don't even accept that. They think they're open-minded, but there's this one little area where they're really stupid.
Well, if they're at a certain age, they've been raised so long to think that, and nobody's changed their minds that they're incapable of thinking anything else.
It's programming. It's
Yeah.
programming is what it is. Some people at a certain age decide that they can defy the programming and think for themselves.
Well, see, exactly
some people
that.
never do. Some people never get to that plateau of, wait a minute, that ain't right. I've seen it's not right. I'm not going to think that way. And Willow, please go right ahead.
Sorry, my husband's talking to his friends too, but I've had people tell me, "Oh, hey, your grandma was racist because of her of the time
The
that
era she was raised in.
Yeah, but I find that BS because of the fact that so many people have gone away from that attitude. She refused to change.
Yeah, she bought into the programming.
Well, and
unfortunately,
it's just like they talk about children that suffered from child abuse. When they grow older, break the cycle, don't continue it. That's a thing that's very difficult for somebody that's grown up in it to do because they don't know anything else. Or they don't have any way of having somebody provide a support system for them to break the cycle and get out of it.
Yeah.
I think that I was just going to say, I think that anybody who says that they're not prejudiced are only fooling themselves, because everybody is prejudiced, whether it be on a large scale or a small scale. Just like racism, it exists in everybody. And whether you realize it or not, and it could be any minor little thing. And it doesn't have to be about a person's color of their skin or their sex or their political affiliation. It could be about any number of things. But the main thing is to steer yourself, the word I'm trying to think of, basically try to get control of your moral compass and go from there. And continuously asking yourself, the way that I think, the things that I say, and the things that I do, are they productive? Who are they productive for? And will this make anybody else do the same thing? And it could, in any number of ways, turn out good or bad on that. It's no different. Some people will say or do things, feel like they're kidding. And I took a lot of razzing when I moved up to Illinois from North Carolina. And it was rough for a while. And I hated school pretty much from that point on because of it. Not because I was the new kid in town, but as soon as they found out where I was from, then there was every little joke that was being told. And they're, oh, come on, Bill, we're just poking fun. We don't mean nothing. But it still hurts.
The usual excuse of a bully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was only joking.
Yeah. Well, well, how did you escape that reservation? Yeah. But anyway, but no, for usually the person that will come right out and say, I'm not a racist, that's the one I worry about. I worry about them more than I worry about somebody in a Black Panther uniform or with a white hood on, because you know them and you figured them out. The Black Panther or Antifa or the Ku Klux Klan and all that, you know what they're all about. The ones that are a little bit more subversive and elusive about what they're actually doing,
Yeah.
and how they're influencing people on that. That's the ones I worry about. And usually they're the ones that are the first ones to put up this facade, this curtain that's just meant to protect them. And they're going to come right out and say, yeah, we're for this and we're for this and we're against this and that, and they will not really give you any positive evidence or anything from their past that'll back them up. And that's the only reasons why, if I'm going to vote for somebody and you hear all the scuttlebutt about them, well, just go do your homework. Do your homework, not 2 or 3 days before the election, but do it all year long from the day one that you hear about them.
When you first hear about them, yeah.
Right. And then totally ignore CNN and Fox and all the social media outlets and all the people that rant about everything.
The best advice I was given about somebody running for office is look at the people around them. Look at who's close to them. And actions speak a lot louder than words.
Also, this actually came up in a conversation today where someone posted on one of my comments and said that that I should look into this video of this politician talking. So I looked up his name, and okay, when the conservatives don't even want you part of their group, there's an issue.
Of course.
If you're too racist to be a conservative, that is a huge issue.
Well, Groucho Marx they were talking about politics and that, and he said something about certain groups, and they were talking, there was a Democrat running for president at the time, and he said, asked Groucho if he could find himself to be a part of that group, and Groucho, in his own inimitable fashion, excuse me, I can't speak, it's almost midnight, said, any group that would want me, I would not want to be a part of. And it just plain out right.
Yep.
But I think that you turn around, if you scream that somebody's a liberal or somebody's conservative or somebody's racist or a bigot or a homophobe or whatever, a child molester, you better give the reason why you're calling this person that and have the evidence to back it up. And usually the people that are flinging the crap are usually full of it themselves. And
that's why they've got so much to fling.
Well, yeah.
But as of late, it does seem like a lot of the people who are leading the charge on the anti-mask movement, anti-vax movement, have gone to that extreme stage of being extremely racist, extremely homophobic, and it's just something that I've been watching from our own politicians. And we have the conservatives who have had, xenophobic tendencies, and they're against homophobics, or they're against the LGBTQ community.
Pretty quick.
But it just seems like there's a more extreme conservative now that it's
Well,
coming out of the woodwork.
And it doesn't make you a bad person if you're against that, because you got to remember, not everybody is for those movements based on their religious values. And then if you say, well, you're a homophobe, or you're this, or you're that, well, that makes you just as bad as what you're claiming them to be, because then you're labeling them. If they tell you that they're against it because the religious values that they honor are, well, then they're sticking with that. And if the people from the gay community and that are sticking with theirs, then I find no problem with either. But when they constantly attack one or the other, back and forth, then what productive is coming out of that? There's nothing productive.
I don't know. I don't know, Bill. I've always had a real problem with people hating somebody else because they're different.
Well, it's not hating
I've
the person.
always been different. No.
You hate the sin, not the sinner, and that's all there is with that.
In some cases, you hate the particular sinner in question because
not all, but yeah.
I mean, now
there are the extremists that go that far, but then there are others that don't. So that's like
a lot of my best friends are people.
Now there are people who are anti-vaxxers because they're just not educated, and sadly and scary enough, a good majority of them are healthcare workers. They're the frontline people that are refusing to get vaccinated.
They should be among the most educated.
You would think.
That just drives me nuts. Like to know that there are people in my hospitals in my city that are working at these hospitals.
Yeah, how dangerous is that? How dangerous is that? Now, if somebody come up and said, I'm not going to get the vaccination because of our beliefs against it, not just because of COVID, but because of flu or anything else or whatever, whether I agree with it or not, I accept that explanation, and I actually respect it more than I do the persons that said, oh, and we had one that came in on our local radio station yesterday, and I had to call the station because she was a nurse that worked over in Champaign at one of the local hospitals, and she swore up and down she was never going to get vaccinated because they haven't done enough research on it yet, and all these other ones. Yeah, she said, oh no, she said they got to do at least 20-25 years research before they do any of it. Well, first of all, how many people are going to get sick in that 25 years? But then the show host chimed in and told her that the technology that they were using on researching the vaccines for COVID-19 had already existed way before anybody ever knew about COVID-19. They were using that same technology for the SARS virus and the H1N1 and many others.
Yeah, 20 years ago, swine flu.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones that I worry about. Those are the ones that I have a problem with. If somebody says it's against my religion, whether I agree with it or not, I will respect them for that decision, whether it's about vaccines or anything else. But the ones that just
mask around them.
Yeah, well, or just don't go around them at all. But
well, I try, but I have family members that don't believe in evolution, and I'm going, excuse me, 1800s. This was established as a fact.
Well, 1 point.
And amazingly enough, their objection is because they're a Bible thumper.
Yeah, which that's labeling, and then that's discrediting
No excuse.
legitimate.
No excuse.
And it's the same with the flat
I'm not
earthers.
making excuses. I love them dearly. I just think they're being stupid.
Hmm.
You know, facts are facts. You can dismiss whatever you want because you have this particular worldview. But if
I've
it's
had
wrong,
yeah.
I got to call you on it every day of time. I've got to. It's my
Well,
job.
it's the same people who swear there is no God, or or that Jesus didn't exist or anything like that. I mean, I label them with the flat earthers and all the rest of them, and it's just a bunch of people. They're stuck in this little
Yep.
groove here. They got the blinders on, and I don't care what you tell me. I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to look over there. No, I'm not going to look at Willow or up at Chris or up at you or what. I'm right here, and this is where I'm going to be. And no matter what you say, this is where it is. And the more you talk, the more it gets like this.
Yep. The more closed off they get. Yep.
Yep.
It's a waste of time trying to convince
It,
somebody
it's
that
a
they've been
mindset.
brainwashed.
Yeah. So my thing is, and this is why I don't do the politics on my page and everything, and why my friend said what she said about me posting the pictures and no politics or anything at all, because you have these people that are like this. Well, I'm not going to continue to talk to those people about what they want to talk about, and instead I'm putting up things like this on instead, and just to have them look at that, and they, and if they want to open up, that's fine. I, like I said, my politics, if you want to know about them, my best way, I'm taking it to the polls, and that's where the opinions count more than what we're talking about here tonight or anything else. And I don't do it on there anymore. There are so many people that argue and spit and cuss and threaten and everything else. It's like, why? It's like the trolls that was on Stupid O'Clock tonight. Why do they do what they do if they're even real people? Because they have nothing in their life. They have no goals. They have no moral compass, nothing spiritually guiding them to do something that's productive, that's good for their fellow man, and to be something to leave a mark other than a scorch mark. I mean, I don't get these people. I really don't. And
And now we're boring Carl.
Mhm.
Not you, Bill. Not you, Bill. No.
well, we blew Carl's brain up a little while ago. What did he say? So, oh yeah, that's too much thinking and work. So we already made his brain explode.
That's the thing.
Joe Dog was also in listening to us, and he's saying that he's going to bed too. So it's
Well, it's well after Joe Dog's bedtime. Let me tell you, the dog has already told Joe Dog to go to bed 3 times by now, and Donna
that's a
might
big
have
dog.
at least once.
Mhm.
You know.
So Dan, are you doing Last Man Standing this Saturday night?
I will have to be at work Sunday morning. No,
I wasn't sure.
I will be on Stupid O'Clock, but I have to. When Stupid O'Clock is over, I have to go to bed.
So are we actually doing the chili thing?
That's not up to me. I think Josh is the main driving factor behind that.
Has he said whether he's going to be able to attend or not? Because I haven't heard anything.
I don't know. Now,
the last I talked with him, he said that his wife's work schedule is so
up in the air.
Up in the air, yeah, basically, that he doesn't know whether he's even going to get the time off to come.
Well, I would appreciate knowing at least a week in advance so I know whether or not to actually decant the ingredients and bring them with me. Because, look, I I'd love to cook chili. There's no
Mhm.
way I'm gonna win any chili cook-off because
Yeah.
most of the time the winners are, oh, I can't eat this, it's too hot. And they go, oh, I win. But I'm going, yeah,
Yeah.
more people ate mine than they did yours.
Yeah.
But I, you know, it's one of those things where it would be nice if it happened, but
Yeah.
I am equally sanguine about it not happening.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm good either way, but I'm like
yeah,
you. If it's gonna happen, I want to know so I can be prepared.
yeah, because I'm going to have to pre-cook half the ingredients and put them in Ziploc baggies and put them in a
Yeah,
cooler to bring them up there. I can't bring just canned goods,
yeah,
and start from scratch. I'm I can't count on there being a cast iron frying pan
yeah,
and all the other stuff that I would need
yeah,
for my way of
yeah.
doing my thing. But
Because I got to brown the ground beef before I,
yeah,
get there.
and
Oh,
I've got to make out a label that says this is not kosher.
Yeah,
I will attempt to
Mine
get a
will
hold
not.
of.
Mine will not be, and I don't want anybody to um partake that
yeah,
has a valid restriction, a dietary restriction against it. So,
yeah.
you know, it'd
I
be the same
understand.
thing about, oh, this has mushrooms, this has onions, this has green bell
Yeah,
peppers.
yeah.
You know, if you're allergic to this, or if there is some
Mm-hmm.
other
You,
reason that you cannot,
Yeah,
please avoid.
yeah,
I'm that
yeah.
kind of guy. I'm responsible enough to not bring an entire crock pot full of uh, pork sausage and go, oh yeah, dig in.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
And
that's
the
not going to happen. That
health
not
department's
under
going to
my
make you list all that stuff now too.
yeah,
not under my watch. No, I want people to be well informed of what they're getting into.
yeah,
Now,
That's the hard part of having potluck dinners when there's someone
Mhm.
who is
Someone
gluten
has
intolerant.
dietary restrictions, yes,
yeah.
gluten intolerance, uh, no,
That's why it's helpful to know if anyone in attendance has any food issues that you need to be brought up beforehand so everybody can make allowances for it.
the couple of years that I was doing con staff doing literary track, I asked my guest writers to tell me, do you have dietary restrictions? What do you have allergies? Are there anything that we need to make sure that you don't come in contact with? And then another addendum to that was, is there anybody attending the convention that you hate with your entire body and soul and don't want to appear with? And it turns out that was a good thing because there were two people that could not get along.
Mhm.
Thankfully, we were able to keep them separated. And
Separated.
yeah, thank God for consecurity.
Mm,
Yeah. Uh,
Basically, you may just have to put a sign up saying, if you have any food allergies, you may not want to eat this chili.
yeah. Of course,
if you're
we'll
allergic
have,
to good food, stay away.
well,
Yeah.
there are some people there with cast iron stomachs, so it's not
Mhm.
going to bother them
I
one way
think
or another.
Josh is one of those. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I can't do anything
Well, the
really
No,
thing,
I
really
can't anymore.
hot and spicy. I can do mild
mhm,
very well, but I can't do just, oh, I can eat anything. No, I can't
yeah,
eat anything. Um, not unless I want to spend the entire next day of the con sitting on a toilet. No.
Well, and
Yeah,
people
I'll
that
be
have
lucky if I'm sitting instead of kneeling, let me tell you.
mm, mm,
people that have certain allergies should be coming prepared in case they
yeah,
run into something like that.
Well,
Where
no, no,
I
it's not a matter of so much being prepared. It's a matter of being polite to inform them
yeah.
ahead of
Here
time.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, you
I'd
can't.
like to be considerate.
Yeah,
It's all
you
common
can't
courtesy.
please everybody. But what I'm saying, like with me, besides my ulcers, which prevents me from eating a lot of things, but I have a lactose issue.
Mm.
But hey, lactate pills allows me to have any kind of dairy product, and it works quite well. And
You're probably
so
going to want about a half a pound of what is it? Sour cream to go on Josh's chili if he shows
yeah,
up, because that promises to be like you've heard of 4-alarm chili. This is going to be 16 alarm.
yeah. He's told me about some of the ways he's made that before, and sadly I won't be able to attend.
I'm
but
not putting Carolina Reapers and ghost peppers in my belief.
yeah,
I want to eat it.
If he's got that crap in it,
I
don't
want to
try it.
enjoy chili, not feel it burn.
Have you seen
Oh
a
my
YouTube
God.
video of that redneck that eats 2 Carolina Reapers and then chases it with Fireball?
I have actually seen in real life an idiot that tried to eat an entire bottle of Tabasco peppers and drink the pickle juice that went with it. And I was an auditory witness as to what happened to him later.
There is a...
Thankfully, I didn't have to visually see it, but I heard it happening. And I go, yeah, smart ass, you got
There
what
is a
you deserve.
coworker of mine that's either his brother-in-law or brother can eat just about anything because they went to this place, I think it was up near the Smokies, and there was something I think that was 3 million on the Schofield scale, and it didn't even faze him.
That sounds like Carolina Reapers. I know a guy at work that grows the darn things and ghost peppers too, and he'll sit and eat an entire pepper and dare anybody to eat one of the ones that he grew, and call him out on not feeling a thing. And I'm going, dude, I can't even smell a habanero without sweating for 6 hours. And now I do in my pickle pepper jar, there are 2 or 3 habaneros sliced small, in with 16, maybe 20 other varieties of peppers. And they're all, except for the really hot ones, which I consider habanero on up. And I don't go for the on up for my own personal consumption. There might be 3 habaneros in a 5-gallon jug, but most of the rest of it is just normal stuff, like Tabasco's cut up small, and a few jalapenos,
I like banana peppers.
the milder sort of green chilies, things like that, and I just put like 1 spoonful, maybe if I'm feeling really adventurous, 2 spoonfuls, an entire 3-gallon crock pot of chili. I don't want to set anybody on fire. No. I just want something that tastes good, something that has the taste of the heat without the actual heat.
But that's how things are these days, though, Dan. I mean, you can't walk down a potato chip aisle without seeing Lay's flaming hot this or scorching, burning, burn down the whole California redwood forest potato chips. I mean, everybody wants everything so frickin' flaming hot, and I don't get it. I'm thinking this is
I'm with you.
All a big program instituted by doctors because they know that later in life everybody's going to contract all these ulcers and problems that it's going to make all the doctors rich because they spent their entire youth eating flaming hot Cheetos and everything else.
It's not
then again,
competitive eating videos.
Yep, competitive eating.
People that are looking for thrills in spicy and hot foods instead of amusement park rides, or in addition to amusement park rides.
And that you have the opposite point of view of the people that go, oh, I'm going to eat this and I'm never going to have an ulcer because it's going to burn every bit of my intestine raw all the way through for the rest of my life. And
when I lived in Danville, I had a neighbor.
Not grow any tumors, you know.
When I lived in Danville, I had a neighbor that lived across the street from me. And I walked up on his front porch one night, and my eyes just started burning. I'm like, man, what is this? And it was after dark, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And he had a great big, huge pot on his porch that had these great big ghost pepper plants on there. And he had 3 or 4 of them around the edge of the porch. And I walked out and I said, Larry, I said, what? Why are my eyes burning? He goes, those ghost peppers over there. I'm like, good grief. He goes, you don't like ghost peppers?
They haven't even been cooked in anything yet. That's just
them
growing.
No, and he picks the darn things off and eats them like candy. And I'm like, Larry, do you want me to dial 911 now? Because I don't know how you're going to survive it. Oh, it doesn't do anything to me and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just don't get it. And I said, well, one thing I've noticed since I've been on the front porch tonight, besides my eyes burning, he goes, what's that? I said, you have absolutely no mosquitoes or bugs on this porch.
That's right.
Yeah, it kept them all away.
Poblano peppers will not be attacked by insects. It's not because they're hot, because they are actually quite mild. But there's something that they have that stink bugs and whatnot will not munch on. They will devour an entire tomato plant in 30 minutes. I don't care if it's 5 acres tall, but they won't touch a poblano. They ate my jalapenos. I mean, they ate every bit of the jalapenos, but they would not touch the poblanos. There's something besides the capsaicin in there that they do not like. And I'm going, I've got to grow these as a tree 40 feet tall and drive all of these bugs out of my yard. Yeah, if I could just get rid of them.
Remember that.
I could just get rid of the fake riding spiders. I like the real riding spiders. It's these imports that came in here recently. They are just totally eating up my yard. There's webs everywhere. I'm gonna, when I mow the yard tomorrow, get the riding mower out and do the rest of the yard. I'm going to have to take a stick and wade through spider webs so that I can go around the house and under trees and the hedge and all this. I'm going, I didn't have this problem before these buggers came over on whatever it was that they were imported with. You know, I mean, we used to think that some of the stray insects came over on bananas, but I don't know where these things came from. But
there is now. I know you don't have a Menards down your way, Dan, but you can go to Lowe's and they have these bags, and just typically it'll say insect control, and it's a dry granule formula, and you put it out on your lawn with a lawn spreader like you would with fertilizer or anything. And usually twice a year, once in late spring and then once again in early fall. And that really cuts down a lot of the population of the spiders, of course, deer ticks, things like that, that's going to end up giving you Lyme disease and things, and it helps out quite a bit. Usually if you put it on, if you know it's going to rain on Saturday and you put it on Friday, let that rain get it and soak it down into the ground. That's usually about the best way on that, but it's not bad.
Before you mention rain, I thought you were talking about diatomaceous earth, which is a natural dehydrating agent.
Yeah, we sell plenty of diatomaceous earth too, because there's a lot of
on a fire ant nest, and those things walk through it. Every ant that touches it is going to instantly dehydrate. They're
Well,
gone. They're gone. They just
actually, there's if any of them eat any of that, it's like metal shards going right through their body, and it rips them up from the inside out.
well.
I saw a video. We had to when we first started selling it at Lowe's. We had these seminars we had to go to every spring, and which was boring as all get out. Long 12, 14-hour day, boring seminars from all the people bringing in the new products and trying to teach about it.
I hate to interrupt you, Bill, but I have got to go to the littlest room right now, and it's about time that we signed off.
Oh,
It's about
okay.
time that we signed off. We've got
switching hour.
Yeah, we've already gone from 11 to 1. So when I come back, we'll finish up the conversation, and then we'll go to the end credits and everything. But I shall return momentarily.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
what's the worst insects you deal with up there north of the border?
Oh, well, we have a wasp problem in that starts in like August usually, and I think that's probably the worst insects that we deal with right now. I mean, we have bad mosquitoes, but it depends. Like, sometimes our city is pretty good with spraying for the mosquitoes, but I don't know. It depends on like who's in power and
Right.
what we had a mosquito guy for the longest time that would be like, okay, we shouldn't be spraying because it's bad for our environment.
Yeah, politically correct little things. Well, and that's why you see all the fires in California, because the people that are powers that be there said, no, we can't do any burning because it's going to put a hole in the ozone layer, all the smoke and that. Well, we do controlled burns up here in Illinois, and they're very they're not only beneficial for keeping from forest fires and wildfires started and spreading like how they do in California, but it's actually beneficial for the earth too, into bringing up, a rebirth on it. It provides a lot of nutrients, and it's just no different than rotating your crops, planting soybeans one year, and then the next year you're going to plant corn or wheat or something else. So you're not robbing all the nutrients out of the soil. Well, the controlled burns are the same way.
Yeah.
But the one thing I found out that I've heard just actually yesterday, how they always talked about, doing this and that to save the honeybees and planting, crops for them and for the monarch butterflies and that, got to plant that milkweed for the monarch butterflies that the farmers use every pesticide to kill out of their cornfield. But now, because there are so many honeybees, they're actually killing off the bumblebees. And now they're talking about putting the bumblebees on the endangered species list, because the honeybees are killing the bumblebees.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's really, really strange. I heard that on a PBS radio station the other day, and then I heard it again on a local station out of it was an ABC affiliated station out in Chicago. But the one thing the farmers will do, they'll plant some cover crops that will introduce the monarchs and the honeybees and all that into the area with all the friendly perennials and that. But yeah, when the honeybees are that everybody was worried about are killing off the bumblebees and putting them on the endangered species list. Then he was like, okay, well, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Worry about the carpenter bees, which look like bumblebees, but aren't.
And the only thing that got under my skin this year was the damn cicadas. Those things were a pain in the butt.
Really? Why? I mean, just because they were so noisy?
The noise doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like the sound of cicadas as much as I do crickets or peepers or anything else.
Yeah,
that are in the summer.
Also trying to take off,
but they are everywhere, and they're on your cars. They'll get up under your grills.
Yeah.
I can't drive a country mile without coming home and digging them out of my grill of my car. I mean, it's horrible.
That's true. The best way to combat that is to let the engine cool off and open the hood of the car and take a water hose from the inside and spray them out. We used to have to do that with the tractors and the combines, not because of cicadas, but because of everything a tractor runs into. But
now, are cicadas around every year, or is it?
No. They're some varieties, and there's not many, do appear every year. But then there's this 7-year cycle for the largest population of that particular species. I mean, they're underground. They're going through their change from the pupa to the actual oh dear, what is the term? I'm entomology.
The larva stage or whatever.
Larva to pupa to the actual winged form. And the thing is, in the winged form, they don't have a mouth. They don't eat. They only live long enough to breed.
Yep.
And then they die.
Oh, okay.
They have sex and die.
That's why all the noise. They're trying to attract a mate.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
now this year,
their entire life in that 7-year cycle, when they come up and they start, I imagine they're quite like grasshoppers, rubbing their legs together to make the noise. Could be rubbing their wings together. I don't know, but that chirp that they make is just trying to attract a mate, and they mate. The female lays eggs, which will not come out of the ground nest for 7 years to mate again, and then they die.
And the story this year I'm hearing is that we're not going to get another 7 years before we got to suffer through another summer with them. Now they're saying they're going to come back in 3 years. And I can't remember what the reason is that they were giving, but there's a garden show that I listened to. Yeah, there's a garden show that I listen to on Saturday mornings at 8:00, and they were talking about that about a month ago. So I'm really hoping they're wrong, because this was really a pain in the butt. And they get in your plants and they eat a lot of stuff. When I went out for my walks in the evenings after supper, I couldn't walk under this one maple tree because they were all up there, and then they just kind of dive bomb you, flying all over the place, and they're on the sidewalk and jumping around, and if you open your mouth, if God forbid you're a mouth breather, one might fly in your mouth.
Now, do they leave like sticky substances like when they poop and stuff like that, or
I don't know.
Or have you not noticed?
I haven't got the faintest clue.
They leave a mess when you step on them.
I wouldn't think so. I think basically that they mate, and then the female crawls back underground to lay eggs, and then she dies, and the male dies above ground. And you find little carcasses kind of stuck to the trees with super glue.
Oh my God.
They're everywhere, Willow.
Yeah,
It's like the whole ground is littered with them.
yeah, they're not like locusts. They don't eat everything they come in contact with. They just
So this is their ponfar. They're the Europe ponfar.
yeah, exactly. This is their fun par. Yeah,
Yeah.
they wake up and go, "Hey, I want to get laid. Come here."
hmm
And that's it. That's it. That's their entire life cycle is mate, lay eggs, die, wait 7 years, lather, rinse, repeat. You know, it's not like locusts that will eat everything in their path. And that's that was a widely recognized biblical plague there. Uh, you let those or army worms. My God,
Yeah.
we Dad had to build a special bug sprayer to go on the tractor to get rid of army worms so that we had crops to be able to sell 6 months later when they got ripe, instead of being food for army worms.
Clank.
I mean, these are caterpillars, and they will march through your yard, and they will eat everything but coastal Bermuda grass.
hmm
Don't know why. Maybe there's a toxin in golf course grass that nothing else notices, but they do. And they eat corn, they eat soybeans, they eat wheat, they eat oats, they eat rye, just anything except coastal Bermuda. And I don't. There was a part of Mom and Dad's backyard where Dad and I used to, when we got through baling hay or something, we go and turn out our trouser cuffs that we had to roll up because we always bought a size too long. Um, and the seed would take root right there. And there's this stripe along where the water faucet and the runoff from the water faucet outside was that they got enough water to grow back up, and it would just it colonized that section of the yard and kept it from any kind of erosion whatsoever. Whereas the normal yard grass, just fescue and orchard grass and things like that, would seasonally die out and not have that dense root system that the Bermuda grass does, that would hold the ground in place during heavy rains. So there'd be gullies along each side of this, but not in the middle of it. And it is really wild. I've got I've got stuff out in the front backyard that's a mix of zoysia grass and Bermuda grass that is used on golf courses. And when that takes over, you only have to mow the yard like 3 times a year because it doesn't get tall.
hmm
It doesn't get tall
Oh,
at
wow.
all. And unlike everything else, and it will choke out things like dandelions and anything other than let's see. The only things that it will not choke out is kudzu that grows faster, wisteria that has deeper roots, ivy, which is an invasive species down here. Some of them, um, they were brought over from England, as I do recall, and they flourish down here because there's nothing that eats it. No a grasshopper or locust or whatever is a native control for that particular plant, and they will uh, send out tendrils into a brick wall that they climb on, and they will basically, over the course of 50 years, dissolve a brick wall. Not
Wow.
through soaking up nutrients from it, but just from finding teeny tiny pores to put rootlets in. and the rootlets will grow and expand and pretty much crumble the brick. It's like a teeny tiny demolition team.
I see a lot of that around here from just
Yeah.
a lot of invasive plant. Now, you were talking about all the crops getting destroyed down your way by those little buggers.
Yep.
And you might be too far north, but I was kind of wondering how they fared against cotton. And I know that's more down in Josh's area. But
no, cotton was very big here. It was very big here at one time. Yeah. I mean, this is Georgia. The entire state was pretty much cotton at one time. But no, cotton is very difficult to grow. It really is. You've got to not only plant it and cultivate the weeds out of it, but you've got to spray it against different insects like the boll weevil and different weeds that would choke it out. There's several things that will just absolutely, and I believe they are invasive species from the Orient. They're very decorative plants with pretty flowers, but they will overpower whatever they grow in. So if you've got a field of something and this stuff comes up, it's going to just pretty much choke it out. That plant that you planted is going to be surplanted by these invasive species. Oh God, you got me on farming now.
Well, I know that when I used to do the Civil War reenactment down in Selma, Alabama, it was every 2 years that they held it. Driving down to Selma, we went by acres and acres and acres of cotton fields down there. And people were out there not on machinery, but out there walking around with the bags and everything else. And
old school. Yep.
Yeah, and tons of red clay everywhere you saw.
Yep, that's red. Because Georgia used to be a sea bottom long time ago. The red clay is from iron oxide, just rusted mud on the bottom of an ocean that since receded, and we're talking way back in geological times, which is a long way ago. Which you know about the only thing that was above the water was the Appalachian Mountains, and they were tall and sharp then. They're short and worn away now because they've existed for so very long. Cotton is one of those picky things. It's almost like an ornamental plant. You've got to be gentle with it. You've got to really take extreme care with it. Otherwise, either something will eat it or it won't grow right.
Well, up here, yeah, there was
one of those things that made I hate to say it, that made slavery possible, because there was no machine to do what the people would be able to do. And because these people were kidnapped and enslaved and not paid, not given anything of value other than a place to live and backbreaking labor to do, they were the only way that made the old South, the cotton is king South, actually possible. If it weren't for slavery, we would never have had the Confederacy, because there wouldn't have been anybody to establish it and do the work, because white people ain't gonna do that shit. We're too damn lazy. You've got to mistreat and import and beat down somebody else to do the work that you're not willing to do because you think you're too good. And
now everybody's lazy.
yeah, well, yeah.
Well, what you were saying about cotton, and I won't get into the politics of all that because I know
Hey.
you're getting ready to wrap up the show. But
I don't like the fact it happened. I actually hate it, but
yeah,
but
but you can't be part of the cancel culture that's trying to make everybody to make it disappear, because if you make it disappear and nobody ever knew about it, then it's going to happen again. Plain and simple.
You've got to acknowledge that it was real, and you've got to try and educate people to make sure it never happens again.
But you said something about cotton being decorative and that, and I know about 7 or 8 years ago, there was a big trend. The people who had the grapevine wreaths, and you put little things in the grapevine wreaths and hang them on your doors or front of your house, and that cotton, the raw cotton still attached to the stems and everything, became a very decorative thing. Whether you put them in the grapevine wreaths or made a swag out of them, or just put them like cut flowers in a vase and set it on a shelf or on your table or whatever. And it was very lucrative to be able to sell that in that raw form. Just like if you were out in the field and you picked it and threw it in your bag and took it home and made bundles of it and sold it to everybody. But anyway, and then of course the people said, oh, you can't do that because that's promoting slavery, and tried to get everybody to tame it down and stop it. And in fact, what happened is that the people that said, oh, well, we can't sell that anymore, so they shipped it all back or whatever, it brought on a greater desire for the people and
made it a collector's item.
It turned it into gold. Absolutely. And the people that didn't go in for the BS, they turned around and thought they knew what they had. And then that little bundle of cotton that they were selling for maybe $4 or $5 for a little small bundle of it automatically went up to $19.99.
Oh, of course.
Or $29.99. Because it's like, hey, you either buy it off of me, or where are you going to go? You're not going to get it. So it's me or nobody at all. And supply and demand. And that's what, I always say, when I worked at Lowe's for almost 15 years, about 10 years into that, we had a Menards open up, and everybody's, oh, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm like, I'm not worried. Oh, you think you're going to put Menards out of business? No. And I hope we never do. And they say, why? I said, because competition is a healthy thing. It keeps everybody honest. It absolutely does. Because if you don't have it and then it just gets to one person, then there's your dictatorship.
Yep.
And then they'll do whatever they want.
Monopoly on something.
Exactly.
The power goes to their heads.
Yep. But
definitely. We have covered some wide ground of subjects tonight. Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah.
I think my head's going to explode like Carl's.
Hey, and Willow, thank you so much.
No problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anytime
welcome to the madness.
Anytime you want to join us, honey, you are more than welcome. And, hey, yeah, I mean, seriously, if you want
bring
to
the kitty,
regular, I mean, the show's not going to be regular, but anytime you want to be on when we're on, and I believe I can. I'm allowed to speak for Joe Dog. Anytime you want to come on Stupid O'Clock, you'll be more than welcome.
Sure. Well, this is kind of a rare occurrence. Like this happens to fall on a weekend where my husband is off, so I could stay up.
Completely.
Otherwise, we'd be in bed long before this.
Yeah, well, we won't look for you on a Saturday night where Last Man Standing doesn't start till 1 a.m. And believe me, Saturday night at 1 a.m., Last Man Standing is going to be few and far between the rest of the year because I'm working rotating shifts again. I don't like it, but I've got to do it. So it's not my preferred Monday through Friday get off at 3:30 in the afternoon shift. But,
so typically, will your show always be on a Thursday night? Can you guarantee that, or is that even up in the air?
Nope. I work 4 days on, 4 days off. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There'll be times when I'm working the weekend and I can't do either show. There's times when I'm working the middle of the week and I can do both. And there's times when it overlaps and I can do one, but I can't do the other.
Oh boy.
Like this week, I cannot do a Last Man Standing Saturday night at 1 a.m. Sunday morning because I've got to be at work at 7 o'clock Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I can't start a 1 o'clock show and get to work on time. Ain't no way. I do have to have at least 30 minutes sleep, you know. Oh, it's been a pleasure. And everybody that was on, even the folks that have retired for the evening, all the guests, all the commentators, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. We're going to wrap it up now, and everybody's going to go to bed, including me for a change. I've got to mow the yard tomorrow, so I've got to get out the spider killing stick and get the webs out of the way so I can get that riding lawnmower through there. And it's a 0 turn, so I've got to use both hands, and I've got to figure out how I can use a third hand I don't have to weigh the stick up and down.
Got a lot of irons in the fire too.
Yeah.
Have your wife on the back.
Oh no, there's no place to stand. She'd have to walk in front of me, and that might be fine for.
You need one of those little cab over things.
Oh yeah,
like they put on the snow blowers for the winter time with the little windshield. And
I might be able to find one of those, but half the fun of this thing is being able to drive it like it was a go-kart, you know. It's just otherwise I just use the push mower for all of it, even though it would take a lot longer and be much more exhausting. But riding around on this is just about as much fun as riding around on the tractor used to be when I was mowing hay for my dad and on the farm. You just go flat out and flatten as much stuff as you can run across. So,
well, Dan, don't be thinking about mowing the hay. We want you to go hit the hay and get your rest in before you got to work.
That's something I got to take care of right now. My wife's been in bed for about 2 hours now, 3 hours now. Oh. So she went to bed in the middle of Stupid O'Clock. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she has a lot of stuff to do. She works harder than I do taking care of the house. I mean, seriously.
The fact that she took care of a tree all by herself, it sounds impressive. So
three trees. All of them about yay big around with a handsaw. She didn't even use my chainsaw.
She's my hero.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She doesn't give herself enough credit. She thinks, all these people that I know tell me I'm just sitting around on my ass watching TV all day. I'm going, honey, They don't see how clean you keep the house. They don't see how much work you do out in the yard. They don't see how you take care of all the pets.
You
I
know,
mean,
stay-at-home moms are incredible.
this is a full-time job. It really is. I couldn't do all that she does.
Yeah.
She finds that out every time she goes to visit one of her kids, and comes back after 2 weeks, and I'm going, I did vacuum the carpet Thursday. I'm sorry, it's a week ago Saturday now, but
Well, that's like with Laura. We count our steps on our smartwatches and that, and my goal is 6,000 a day. And I'll get on there and get my steps in, and I'll take a screenshot of it and text it to her. She's at work. I got my 6,000 steps in already, and then she texts me back the screenshot of her steps of just being at work for 5 hours, and she has like 14,000 steps. And that's just from working. Yeah, that's just from her working, walking back and forth. She blows me away every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They say a woman's work is never done. That's because they're always picking up the slack the men leave behind.
We're a bunch of slackers, Dan.
I have a real problem with trying to keep up with the housework in between my own job. And
if you've got a full-time job outside the house and you come back and you're trying to do housework, you're exhausted by the time you get home. You can only do so much. And
allocate some of those responsibilities, Willow.
I'm trying.
Delegate. Yeah, well, that works, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I think my husband even said, what was it yesterday? Oh, fuck it, I'll do it later.
Later ain't good enough. Yeah. This is daily. It's got to be done.
Did you mow the lawn?
Fuck no.
See, I started to go out and mow the yard this evening, and Lindsay says, "There's only 30 minutes of daylight left. Do it tomorrow." And I'm going,
Paddle takes 45,000.
Who are you and what have you done with my wife?
Yeah, when we went up to Chicago to do the yard work on Tuesday, I was out there weed eating while Laura was pushing the mower, which is a self-propelled mower. So it actually pulls her because she's tiny more than she's pushing it. And so I'm out there with the battery-powered weed eater, and I'm taking it down to the dirt on the edges on both sides of the sidewalk and everything. And she says, "Man, you're weeding that really, really low." And I said, "Yes, because we only get to come up here every couple, 2-3 weeks."
Really?
And
if you don't do it right the first time, it's going to be harder the second time.
Yep. And it's a lot easier that way. But she gets through, and she's a trooper. And that for little tiny woman that she is. And then her sister Jenny is a stay-at-home mom, and she complains about everything she has to do and all this and how busy she is and that. Turns around, and then her sister says, "Yeah, I do all that. Plus I work a job too." Because if she doesn't do it when she gets home, it ain't going to get done. But then Jenny has a 12-year-old daughter that she can allocate some of that responsibility to.
Yeah, Lindsay not only takes care of me and makes sure that I don't sit here and write all day without eating, but she takes care of the house. She takes care of the pets, and there's quite a few. And she cooks, she cleans, she has her church group that she goes to. She goes to the church itself for services on Sunday. There is a volunteer kind of assistant teacher thing that she goes to once a week at one of the local schools, and that's through a church group. And then there's stuff she's trying to get away from, which is the senior crowd at the church goes out for these expeditions all over creation.
Oh, little
And
junkets.
Yep, and they try and drag her along because all the guys like her because she's the youngest girl and she's really cute. And she's going, I don't want to go 500 miles for a $5 lunch at some hole in the wall restaurant. And please, can we just go back to England for 2 weeks? Go to Philadelphia for a week, something. And I'm going, honey, when I retire, we'll do our best to go everywhere we possibly can. Just us, and we will not be staying with relatives or meeting up with friends, because that would interrupt the schedule that you want to set, what we see, what we go and do, and how much fun we have. And I'm going, in 2024, some of this present unpleasantness should be over, so we can fly wherever we want to, and we might even be able to get a little camper thing to drive around and go off to different conventions and parks and whatever, and just explore the world, because we've only seen so much, and there's a lot more stuff out there. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing that I'd like to show her, but I've never had the time or the money to be able to take her and give her the time to get familiar with it and enjoy it. So here we go.
Well, hopefully by then, a lot of the pandemic will be, if not over, at least more controllable to free up.
Or if nothing
some
else,
things.
routine.
Mm-hmm.
Like a yearly flu jab, basically, is what I'm looking forward to. This thing,
and you know, those
now.
yearly flu jabs are getting better than what they originally were. Usually it used to be a shot in the dark as far as which one you were getting, and if that was the one that was going to be that particular strain of flu that year. And now when I went and got mine at Walgreens a couple weeks ago, the pharmacist was telling me, he says, he goes, there's like 5 or 6 strains in this shot. He said, it's not just going to protect you on the one. If that happens to be the strain for the year, they have several in there now.
It's the Swiss Army knife of inoculations.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's helpful.
Yep. We need the polio, smallpox, and flu right now.
Mm-hmm.
And God help me if I ever step on a nail, because then I've got to have the one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah, really. And as active as I am, either building something or tearing something down, that is a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
When a nail goes through my work shoes, that's a big freaking nail.
Yeah, even those steel-toed work shoes still have some soft enough soles you can get a nail or a screw through them.
The toes are the only thing that's not steel. I need steel sole work shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm talking Damascus steel, something that can't get
anything
through. Sword-proof shoes. And
we just have to make a deal with the samurai, and
wouldn't that make action movies so much more interesting? Somebody comes at you with his sword, you kick them. Wait,
it'd be like
cut your foot off. Yeah, well, I've got the Damascus sole shoes.
Yeah,
I think
instead
that
of
would
what?
be really heavy shoes, though.
No, not really. No, not really. It wouldn't take that much of a thickness. That's some really hard steel.
What was the
It's
name of the character on the James Bond Doctor No movie who had the derby? That Odd
odd
Job.
job. Odd
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Big guy.
And then
Sadly, no longer with us, but
they did a parody of it on the Beverly Hillbillies, where Jethro was going to be a double knot spy.
yep.
And so he made one out of his hat, and every time he put his hat on, he knocked himself out. Silly.
Yeah, had a steel hat.
Mhm.
And anytime Smirch goes a kicking at me, I reach in here and go, and there's a sword blade come out of his shoe, and he kicks and hits the disc and has to pull his shoe off before he can get the blade out of the disc. Graduated 4th grade.
Yeah.
You sure about that? Did you graduate or did you just attend? Lord.
And the guy who played him was one of the
Max Baer,
smartest guy. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I've seen him on. I think they did a reunion thing on the Dinah Shore show. I think it was just called Dinah back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he was on there with Ellie Mae and them, and you'd hear him talking like, how was that guy Jethro? You couldn't put the two together.
Damn good actor is why.
He was.
I can play a numbskull redneck if I want to, but and I do sometimes when I want to be underestimated. I'm evil like that.
Well, same with Peter Tork on the Monkees. He always played the dummy, but
yeah,
yet
but
in real life he was
the philosopher of the group. Yeah.
Yeah, he was English teacher before. Well, he even went to be one again afterwards for a while, and
pretty much a Zen master.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very, very intelligent guy, and very underrated as far as the narrow-minded part of the fandom. The people that actually did research into who each and all the members were would find out about him and everyone else as well.
And he never would have been one of the Monkees if his best friend that he worked with didn't tell him about it, which was Stephen Stills, because Stephen went to audition for him, and they said, well, he sings good and he plays guitar good, but he's got bad teeth. And that's why he never got the part of Peter or whatever the part would have been. It probably would have been called Stephen.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And
they use their own first names.
Yeah, instead of being bummed about it, he went back and told his best friend Peter Tork about it. He went in and got the job. And of course, we all know what happened to Stephen Stills. So, it win-win situation.
Yeah. Wound up protesting nuclear power plants, which is the wrong thing to do nowadays. But back then, looked like the right thing to do.
Yeah. All those no nuke rallies.
Hindsight's always 20/20, which means, when I'm talking out my ass, I'm really saying truth, but nobody will know it for another 50 years. Oh, Lord.
Oh, man, Dan said that.
Yeah, really. Wait a minute. He said that 50 years ago. Prescient. Oh, no. More like press on nails. Oh, Lord, if I had just invented that instead of the things that I did invent that I didn't patent, and now they're part of everyday life, and I'm not rich, but somebody is. And I don't even get a mention in the history books.
And what's going to be even more amazing is by then, Willa's going to know up close and personal what the cicadas are going to be, because they'll have done invaded Canada by then.
Well, we have We have
It's-
our own like little bugs that kind of not very similar to cicadas, but they're a nuisance anyway. They're called aphids.
Yeah, but
They-
we don't talk about Quebec.
They are annoying bugs that
Yeah.
shit everywhere.
And do you know ants farm them?
Oh, interesting.
Yes, ants do. They raise aphids, and these are the thoroughbred aphids, and they milk them and use the byproducts for food for the anthill and things like that. They're actually good to have that variety of ant on rose bushes and things too, because aphids will eat roses unless they're being controlled by their ant overlords. Good Lord, you think I knew a whole lot of stuff here? I just know a little bit about everything. Good. On that note, folks, let's go to bed. I mean, singularly, not collectively, because that would be a YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think my husband would appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't think my wife would either.
That would be like Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice all over again.
Yeah, well, or Carl and Donna and Ted and Christine.
Yeah. Well, we know what we're going to talk about in the green room tomorrow night.
I'm glad nobody will ever hear that. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Just because I say something silly does not mean that it needs to be repeated.
Tomorrow morning, I forgot about the fill-in duties for Carl. Instead of hashtag bring cookie home, it's going to be hashtag Carl, Donna, Ted, and Christine. And nobody will know what it's about.
Nobody will get the reference because they don't understand 1960s porn.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like us connoisseurs. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to think that.
No, I'll put that in there and I'll say this hashtag was brought to you compliments of Last Man Standing.
Willow, I'm so glad I could make you laugh.
No problem.
I do try regularly to get Donna to giggle until she's out of breath, but that's a professional challenge right there for a comedian.
Donna will drop right to the floor. You got to watch her.
I know. I can't go too far or she'll stop breathing.
But yeah, especially on Friday night.
Oh Lord, it's dangerous to have too many smart asses in the room in any one show. All right, people.
Okay.
I'll see you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you for being here. You're welcome back anytime whatsoever. Hopefully, the stars will align, and H.P. Lovecraft will forgive us for aligning them stars, whether we had to use a hammer or not. Good night.
Bye, con Dios.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, here we go. Is that? Yeah, that's the You're still here? Okay, we're part of the Rising Tide Network, and we are grateful for everyone who is part of the Rising Tide Network, as well as everyone who watching any of the shows on Rising Tide. There's something on every day and every night of the week, and it is one of those things where is enough variety to where there's some interest for everybody. And this schedule card is going to have to be changed here soon because Clever Title Pending is going on hiatus on Tuesday nights, and the Dastardly Dingoes, which is listed as 7 o'clock p.m., is going to be shifting to the 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time that Clever Title Pending was in. When Dastardly Dingoes takes a break, then Brian K. Morris will come back and do some very special edition of Clever Title Pending there. But we have Morning Motivations with Michaela Jade every Monday through Friday around 6 a.m. on YouTube. She gets started about 5 in the morning, and she's trying to kickstart your day basically. And then you also have Late Night with Keisha, which happens at midnights roughly once a week whenever she can, whenever she feels up to it. She's recovering from some surgery at the moment, and she's almost back to 100%, but uh, not willing to commit to a strict schedule right now. There's, like I said, there's something for everybody. Sadly, Last Man Standing, what you just got through watching, is going to be broadcast irregularly on Sunday mornings at 1 a.m. and Thursday nights at what is it? Oh, there it is, 11 p.m. But I'm now back on swing shift instead of my normal um, Monday through Friday 8 hour a day daytime only work shift. I'm on swing shift, so some weekends I will have to be working and I cannot do the show. Some weekends I will only be able to do Stupid O'Clock and not Last Man Standing. And some weekends I will be able to do both. It just depends on my particular schedule. Um, One of the things you can be grateful for is not only is Brian K. Morris still doing Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he's also introduced a new show called BK Minutes, which is 1 minute long. And hopefully every day, but, and I'm not sure of the time yet, so I don't know how to put that on the schedule, but I will. Um, this is something, the schedule card is something that I do in order to make a readable schedule for everybody to use. And I upload it to the Rising Tide group page, which not very many people can go to unless you have a show on Rising Tide. But this is just one of those things that I do because I'm good at the program that I use to make the schedules and be able to modify them quickly. Let's see. TED Talks on Tuesday at 10 a.m. will keep going on. I think Ted is dropping the TED Talks timepieces and going to a different subject for his Thursday TED Talks. Could be wrong. He is really, really involved with the Wednesday night Truth Mongers at 7 p.m., which he does with his co-host, and then just all kinds of. Well, if you've ever heard of a conspiracy theory, they want to cover all of them. And still, do look out for Drinking with the Davies at 7 p.m. on Friday nights. They will be going back to a weekly schedule at the end of October. During the summer, they went to every third Friday of the month because they were busy doing stuff. But once October ends, they will be doing a regular weekly show once again. There's all kinds of things here, folks. Just look at the schedule. Find something that looks to be of interest. Check it out. And if you like it, keep coming back. And as always, when you're on the show, comment to the show host, like, if it's on YouTube, subscribe, and just tell folks what you think and how much you enjoyed it, or even if you weren't totally pleased with it, what you think they could do to improve it to your segment of the audience that they may garner now and then. This is one of those things where we're always trying to promote everybody else's work. This is not about me. This is not about Stupid O'Clock. This is not about any individual artist or writer or comic book collector or whatever that's on the Rising Tide Network. It's about the Rising Tide Network as a whole. And basically, the philosophy is that a rising tide raises all ships. The things that help one individual show will also, by coincidence, help everyone else in all of their own shows. And sooner or later, if you troll the schedule and figure out that there's something that you like and you start watching it, you're going to be tempted to watch other things as well. So there's a lot of things I've left out because I'm sleepy and I want to go to bed. And please excuse me, but this is one of the few occasions that I have had that I am off from work and I can do Last Man Standing right now on time and definitely under budget because it doesn't cost me anything to have fun and hang out with my friends. All of my friends that have time to pop in the show and do something, whether they're commenting or whether they are coming on screen. It's a really fun time. It's fun for me. Hopefully, it's fun for you as well. And I'm going to go ahead and say good night. Let me end that so that you can see my bright and shining face that is about to go and fall over and on the keyboard and type, well, whatever my forehead hits. It's not going to be Z's because that's too far over to the left. It's probably be G, H, and T, Y, where my forehead goes bam like a brick in the middle of the keyboard. And in order to keep that from happening, I'm going to say goodnight, folks. And thank you all for being here. And thank you for your attention. Thank you for, if you had fun, any fun that you had, that we were able to provoke or engender in you. We had fun, and we hope you had fun too. Good night.